先生、お願いします。ご挨拶お願いします。Please join me in Gasho. Namandavs, 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 Namandavs. I think the mice might actually be coming here to listen to the Dharma because I saw another one this morning, and I don't see it during the weekdays, so maybe they're actually coming to listen to the Dharma. So they're one of our attendees for the Sunday service. So, anyways, thank you all for joining us for our regular Sunday service. We'll begin with a moment of silent meditation, followed by the recitation of the Onenbutsu or Shomyo. Nomanobs, 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 Nomanobs. Next, we'll have the reading of the uh, homages and three treasures, and you'll find that, oops, where is it? There it is. On page 11 of your Purple Satan, or for those that are joining by Zoom, it's on your screen as well. No, no, that's homages. Hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear them. If we do not gain emancipation in this present life, how may we be free from sorrow in the ocean of births and deaths? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures. We go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. Everyone, we go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. Everyone, we go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Everyone, we go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriads of kalpas, hard it is to hear such excellent, profound teachings. Now we are able to hear and receive them. Let us try to understand the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Next, we will be having the sutra chanting, and we will be chanting the Junirai, which you'll see on your screen. And it's on page 63 of the Satan. Namandavs, 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 Namandavs. Okay. Teni shoka yo a so zai mi me ana ko 무료 보시슈이네 건지기신조녀센노 샤마나교녀소무 료모그조냐그쇼랭에 고가초라이미다소 매요녀망아 이거윤여센니징아
전혀 된 그것이라 공아저라임이 나서 간언조다이 간지우지 주주매서 쇼고 너무 그게 너마게마 공아저라이미나서 무미무응어쇼조 신도그게게드녀고 쇼사리야 그도그지사이 오가조라이미나서 집모묘모사슈 무료셔마조산나 이쇼주저간이기지 공아조라이미나서 온다요겐지쇼게 조조메은나이사 오이사 조녀세노 오가조라이미나서 집보쇼라이 쇼브시 갱겐인드시아낙 생고성엔 조극여 오가조라이미나서 쇼무조무가도 야근요스이가스댕여로 이즈세모무묘지 공아조라이미나서 이선부세드무아금요 야금은 연이 아그노후 슈니 시신겨이서 공아조라이미나서 이서무려뱅겨 무쇼시 아그지시기 오조부다이시보다이 오가조라이미나서 아세스이성의도그지 주제무해 쇼갸구쟁어 쇼조샤 에세슈 쇼이고 간이싱은 너그 묘노세이사이 노드모나이시 오조 안라고 나만납스 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 나만. Please join me in reading the English translation, which you'll find on page 70 of your purple seiten. If you have the purple seiten. Namandos. The 12 Adorations, Junirai translation. Before Amida Buddha, whom heavenly beings worship, I humble myself in deepest reverence. In his wondrous land of bliss, surrounded is he by countless bodhisattvas. His golden form shines forth, pure like the king of Mount Sumeru. His practice of truth is steadfast, like an elephant's pace. His eyes radiate like pure blue lotus blossoms. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His countenance is perfectly pure and round, like the full moon. His majestic light shines like 1,000 suns and moons. His voice is like a heavenly drum, yet like a heavenly bird, kokila. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Avalokitesvara wears upon his crown the image of Amida adorned with many precious jewels. He subdues the arrogance of demons and heretics. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Incomparable, vast, and pure his virtues are, clearly extending like vast open space, his acts freely benefiting all. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Bodhisattvas from the 10 quarters and countless maras, demons, always venerate him. He dwells with vow power for the sake of all beings. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. In the golden treasure pond where the lotus flowers bloom, established with goodness is a wondrous throne. Where reigns the king of the mounts, thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. From the 10 quarters, the bodhisattvas come, revealing wondrous powers, they attain blissful state. Honoring his face, they offer eternal homage. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. All things are transient and without self, like the moon on water, lightning, shadow, or the dew. The Dharma cannot be expressed by words, the Buddha proclaimed. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. No words of evil are in his land, no fear of evildoers, nor evil paths. With sincere heart, all beings worship him. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His land of infinite expediencies is without degenerate things or wicked beings. Upon rebirth, non-retrogressive Bodhi does one attain. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Thus have I praised the virtues of Amida Buddha. Boundless are they like the water of the sea. Upon receiving these pure and good qualities, may all beings be reborn into his land. Namandavs, 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 namandavs. Okay, so let me just close this and stop sharing. What's this? I'm muted. Am I muted? Oh no, I'm not muted. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Let me just. Can you hear me okay on Zoom? Yes. Okay. Yeah. There was a message that I'm muted on the Naiji, but it's not the case, so don't worry about it. It's all technical stuff. I've got two screens going on here right now, and so if I don't mute one of them, I get this echoing sound. So that's why one of them is muted. But the one that it should be on is the one that should is in the microphones. The feed in the microphones should be on. So I'd like to read a passage from the uh, Amida Sutra that we often chant. So if I can ask you to put your hands together in Gassho. Again, Shariputra, in the land Skavati, there are lakes of 7 gems full of water with the 8 meritorious qualities. The lake bases are strewn with golden sand. The stair on 4 sides are made of gold, silver, beryl, and crystal. On the banks there are abodes of many stories of galleries adorned with gold, silver, beryl, crystal, white coral, red pearl, and agate. The lotus flowers in the lakes, large as chariot wheels, are, are blue colored with blue splendor, yellow color with yellow splendor, red color with red splendor, white colored with white splendor, and they are most exquisite and purely fragrant. Shariputra, the land Skavati, is arrayed with such excellent qualities and adornments. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Once again, good morning. Good morning to those who are attending here in person and to those on Zoom. Good morning to you as well. Or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining from. This morning, I wanted to share with you, it's a matter of perspective, I guess. And some of you may notice, or I'm sure most of you notice, every week our temple is beautifully adorned. And thanks very much to Roy Akune Sensei, who every week comes in for several hours on usually Fridays to replenish or do our flower arrangements. It is a work of art, but also a meditation for Royce as he prepares our beautiful flowers every week. We are very fortunate here in Steveston that we are able to get fresh flowers every week like this. Our local grocery store has a beautiful flower section, I guess, where Royce will regularly get flowers. But the point is that these flowers, without expressing or without saying, look at me, they are beautiful and they pull our attention to them.
And the passage I read from this Amida Sutra is expressing that, how each of the flowers, the lotus blossoms in the pond in the Pure Land, radiate with their own hues. So the blue lotus radiates with the blue splendor, and the yellow colored one, yellow splendor, red colored one with red splendor, and the white colored one with the white splendor. All these flowers are able to express themselves freely and without trying to say, look at me, they are there as it is. And this explanation is often referred to when we talk about individuals of the Dharma, that without wanting attention or without saying, look at me, those who have attained or acquired the what we call the shinjin, or the entrusting heart, have a natural hue about them. And of course, for us in Jodo Shinshu, the most important person, or the person that leads by example, is of course Shinran Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu. His scroll is to the right of the statue. And there's a very famous story of Shinran Shonin when he was in his 40s. So, just to give you a brief summary of Shinran's life, Shinran Shonin was born in 1173 in a small village just south of Kyoto called Hino. And he entered the monastery when he was only 9 years old. Now, there are a number of speculations of why he entered the monastery, but the fact was that he entered and became what we call a Tendai monk. And he practiced for 20 years on a place called Mount Hiei, very famous mountain just northeast of Kyoto. And it is famous for being the head of what we call the Tendai school of Buddhism. And so Shinran Shonin was there for 20 years as a practicing monk. But at the age of 29, he felt that he couldn't attain enlightenment. And so he actually comes down from the mountain and he spends 100 days on a vigil at a place called Rokkakudo, where he has a vision to go and seek out Honen Shoni, who is then teaching what we call the Nembutsu teaching. And what Honen Shonin was teaching was quite revolutionary, because he was talking to the layperson. He was teaching to farmers, to merchants, to women, to people from all different backgrounds. And so Shinran goes to Honen and he becomes his disciple. And so for 6 years, Shinran is a direct disciple of Honen Shonin. But this teaching that Honen was teaching, the Nembutsu teaching, was an upstart movement, a grassroots movement. And it quickly caught the attention of the established schools of Buddhism. They found it a threat to their way of doing things, because he was saying that anybody could listen to the Dharma, and one did not have to enter a monastery and become a monk or a nun. And of course, with the established schools, that was primarily the way to practice, was that you entered the monastery and then you became a monk or a nun. So they found this a great threat to their way of teaching. And so when Shina was 35 years of age, there was an incident that happened that caused the that caused the outlaw of the Nembutsu teachings. The imperial court banned the Nembutsu teachings. There was actually a beheading of several of Honen's disciples. Honen himself was exiled to the southern island of Shikoku, and Shinran was exiled to northern part, place called Echigo. And it is there that Shinran then gets married to his wife, Eshimi. And after about 4 years, the exile is lifted. But instead of returning to Kyoto, Shinran and Eshini moved to the eastern part of Japan, the Kanto area, to continue to spread this Nembutsu teaching. Now, while he is in this Kanto area, there's an incident that happens. So after he was there for a while, he went to a place called Inaba in Mito, just north of what present day Tokyo, about a couple hours drive north of Tokyo. But there he starts a small hermitage, and people start gathering and coming and learning about the Nembutsu teaching. Now, there was one individual who was known as a mountain ascetic, Yamabushi. His name was Benne. And Benne gets wind of the fact that this Shinran is teaching to the commoners about this Nembutsu teaching. And Benne fears that this is going to be, this is heresy. And so Benne decides he's going to actually assassinate Shinran Shoni. And so Benne waits for Shinran on a mountain passageway where Shinran would normally use to go from his hermitage to various places in the Kanto area. But as it turns out, and it's almost like a comedy of errors, when Bennen will be waiting to ambush Shinran in the mountain passage, it so happened that Shinran would be taking a different route out. So he would miss him. And then, so then Bennen would go to the other passage, and this happened several times where Bennen is trying to ambush Shinran, but Shinran would always take the opposite route. And so anyways, Bennen finally decides, okay, I will go directly to the hermitage and wait for him there. And so Bennen goes to the hermitage, waiting for Shinran to assassinate him when he sees him. But so finally, Shinran arrives back at the hermitage from his outing, and there Bennen confronts him. But instead of assassinating him, when he sees Shinran, he realizes all the rumors that he heard were in fact just that, rumors. And he realizes just by seeing Shinran that this was in fact a great religious individual. And instead of assassinating him or trying to assassinate him, he has a conversation with Shinran and he becomes a very devout follower. And so this idea of this the lotus blossoms with the beautiful hues, Shinran himself, without doing anything special, had this air of sincerity or aura about him, which caused Bennen to become a very devout follower, Nembutsu follower. So why I'm sharing this with you today is that when we listen to the teachings, we too are being affected by all the teachings that have come down from Shinran through our many ancestors that have affected us in its own quiet way. Just as we see the beautiful flowers in the altar every service, it affects us. It's a process of osmosis. My paternal grandfather used to apparently say that the Nembutsu is something that we receive through our pores. It's a matter of, it's through a process of osmosis by quietly listening, and receiving all the wishes of our ancestors and those that have gone before us. We have been allowed to receive and imbibe, if you will, this compassion, this teaching that Shinran had shown throughout the ages. And so, out of gratitude, as we listen and we get a sense of peace and quiet, we do put our hands together to recite the Nembutsu. Just this past Thursday, we had a young couple join us for our meditation group. And at the end, they were saying, yes, they could feel the calmness when they entered the temple and participated in our meditation session. And I guess this calmness that we receive is a culmination of all that has gone before us. So at this time, I'd like to ask you again, please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Thank you very much. So next week will be a joint service with our Dharma School kids. It will be their Halloween party. Actually, we were supposed to go next week on an outing. The outing, we were supposed to go to Stanley Park. They have this train ride. It started off just for Christmas, but now with the popularity of Halloween, they also increased it to make this spooky ride on Halloween. Unfortunately, the train has broken down, and they've canceled this year. It was canceled last couple of years because of COVID, but this year it's canceled because the train has broken down, and it's a historic train, and they don't have the mechanics to repair it or something. It was on the news. So instead of having outing, we're actually having a Halloween party here. So the service will start at 10 o'clock, and it will be focused more towards the kids. You're more than welcome to join us by Zoom, but the focus will be more on the kids. If you do join by Zoom, you might be able to see some of them in their costumes as well. So, and then following that, we'll then get into our activities in November. We are actually planning a book launch for those who are here locally of the book that was published by Reverend Dr. Ken Tanaka, but it's called Jewels. And it talks about Canadian Buddhism. But in one of the contributors to this book is our own Durgish, who's our member. And so we're going to have a book launch in November. So I'll keep you posted on the dates for that. And I will be starting my fall lecture series in November, from November 8th, I believe it was, is Tuesday, the second Tuesday of November. Okay, so again, thank you all for joining us, and yes, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you. Yes.
Just an announcement. LDC Zoom Dharma School will be joining your Dharma School on
Yes.
next Sunday as well. So if anybody on Zoom and their grandchildren aren't in the Stevenson area, they can join with their grandchildren to the Zoom Dharma School.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
Okay.